Hello friends and welcome to another Make It Monday Facebook Live. I am Jamie Sales, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, coming to you early today. It's Monday, August 10th, 2026. I usually go live at 6 o'clock Central on Monday evenings. Today I'm not feeling great, and so I had a project ready that I wanted to share with you, so I thought I would just jump in now. We'll get it out there to the world, and then I'm going to lay low the rest of the evening. But I want to thank you for joining me. Please say hello, whether you're watching live or the replay on Facebook or YouTube. It's always nice to know who's here with me. If you're not catching me live, that's okay. Go ahead, leave your comments, your hellos. I will find those and respond. Thank you for that. Okay, I do want to quickly mention that Stampin' Up has a sale running through the end of August on some of the designer series paper packs, some of the cardstock, and some of the two-tone cardstock. So tonight's project is going to feature one of the packs of DSP that is on sale. Be sure you check out the website. You can get 15% off of those products. Don't miss a sale when there is one. Okay, that's all the yakking I'm going to do. We're going to go ahead and turn the camera, get you on the table, and get started with tonight's project. So I'm going to rotate the camera. Close your eyes if that's going to make you dizzy. Get you down here looking at my table. And these are some of the products I'm going to use tonight. This Fern Flora stamp set and die set. Part of the Moonlit Flora suite. And that is I believe that's the name of the designer series paper that we're using. And I don't have that pack right at my fingertips, but if you look up the Moonlit Flora suite, that is where you will find that. Okay, we're going to get right into it. It's a fun fold tonight. It's a gate fold. So I'm starting with my standard 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock. I've scored it at 2 1/8 from each side. You can see it's kind of already folding up. But in case you're a newbie, our Stampin' Up trimmer has the measurements here. So we just take the cardstock to 2 1/8. It's wanting to sit in the ridge already. And we have a dark blade for cutting, a light blade for scoring. So just get that one out of your way. And score 2 1/8 there, and 2 1/8 here, which I've already done. And when you're doing a gate fold, I find it's easiest for me, even if you have measured and scored, sometimes you're off just the tiniest little bit. So we're going to kind of fold it 2 1/8, and this one's already been worked, so it's already kind of folding. But you can, what I like to do is I'm going to line this up with this edge so that they meet perfectly in the middle. And see how it's kind of bowing up a little bit? Hopefully you can see that. If I hold this in place, and I can use my bone folder to flatten it to give me the crease exactly where I want it. So that is my gate fold. All right, when I kit up a project for a class, generally I put it like this. So these are the pieces that we need tonight. I have die cut a couple of the fern fronds with the dies from Lost Lagoon and Old Olive. And I have a 4 by 5 1/4 panel that's going to go in the middle. This is going to get stamped on. So let's go ahead and do that with my I'm gonna do in Old Olive this large fern leaf. You can tell I don't feel well because I can't think of what I'm trying to say. Sorry about that. So we're going to kind of go off the edge a little bit, but give us a bit of that. And then all the rest of my stamping tonight is going to be done in Pretty Peacock ink. So we'll bring that in, and we're just going to put a little moth like right here. And this is going to be a note card. So it's meant for just writing on the inside. So that's all the stamping I'm going to do. I'm not going to add a sentiment. But this is going to go in the middle of my card, the inside. So go ahead and get some glue on there. Where I have too much, I like to just kind of smooth it out a little bit. Spread it out. And this will go on the inside, like so. And I do want to mention, I cased this design. Casing is where you copy and selectively edit, or some people say copy and share everything. There's some extra light for you. So, oh, I missed that's why you want to line them up so that you don't get that white showing in there. Let me try that part again. So I participated earlier in the year in a swap, a trade with other demonstrators. And I received a card that had this design. I'll show you at the end. And I apologize, I have already misplaced the name of the demonstrator that created this originally. But I like to give a disclaimer that it's not my original design. But that's why I share here, because regardless of where the design comes from, you can make it your own. And sharing is just a great way to inspire one another, which is why I like to do that. Okay, so here you see I am matting or layering a piece of the Designer Series paper with a piece of Golden Glow cardstock. For reference, if you're wondering, my Designer Series paper is 3 3/4 by, I have to think, it's 1 1/2 minus a 1/16. So what's that? 1 7/16. My cardstock is 4 by 1 3/4 would be 12/16. So this is 11/16. I just took that extra 1/16 of an inch off to give me a little bit more space between what's going to go on the card front. So if you want to make it simpler and take that to the 1/4 inch, go for it. You're just going to need to finesse and be a little bit more careful when you're adding them to your actual card base. So I've got those 2 layers. And then I have a white panel that's the same size as the Golden Glow. And this is going to get those 2 die cuts that I showed you ahead of time. And right now I'm just going to kind of set them in place so that I can kind of know how much space I have. They're going to go something like that. And then in this space, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And looking down, I can see that it's too long, which is why I didn't glue these first. I can slide these over a little bit if need be And I do need right now. This sentiment says, thankful for you. It is from the Fern Flora stamp set. So we will. All right. This part is hard for me because the camera sits right where I want to look to make sure the stamp is straight. Not too bad. I wanted it to be higher though. I'm going to try it again on the back. Take it a little bit higher this time. Oh, hang on. The back side's going to show. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. This is going to attach to this, to the left panel, not to the right panel. So when you open it up, you'll be able to see this part. So if I flip it over, that would show. But what if I flip it this way? I just want to make sure that it's not. That works. Barely, but that'll work. Okay. So yes, you can fix a mistake, but sometimes you got to consider all the factors before you decide how to fix it. Okay, that's a little bit higher. Happier with that. And while I have my ink out, I have just a 1-inch wide scrap of basic white. I'm going to stamp some moths on there. There are 2 different moths in this stamp set. So we're going to go for 3 total. Going to use them both. That is the stamping portion. These moths you could cut with your scissors, fussy cut them, or use the coordinating dies, which I have done, and there are my moths. 1, 2, 3. And we're almost ready to assemble. But before I do that, I want to add a little bit of shading around the edge. So I'm going to use my blending brush and this Pretty Peacock ink. Pick up a little bit of ink, and I'm going to bring in another scrap paper just to keep this one clean a little bit longer, because why not? I don't want it too dark, so I'm going to rub a little bit off and then just lightly go around all the edges. Just giving a little more interest to this white panel, make it not so bold and stark white. Something like so. We're going to add our palm fronds to this. Now I could have put an adhesive sheet on the back to turn these into stickers. I didn't think of that ahead of time. And I generally have a pretty light touch with the glue bottle. So if you go very lightly, you can do it as I'm doing. You could also just put a little bit of this Tombow liquid glue on your silicone sheet and pick it up with a sponge and apply it to the back that way. You could also squeeze some of that glue into a fine tip glue bottle. I have done that for classes. I just didn't think to set it right at my table. And like I said, I don't generally have a heavy hand, so for me, this works also. You don't, ooh, see, that's a lot for this little piece. So I'm just going to use the tip of my glue bottle, spread that out, and then I can wipe some of the rest of it onto a different leaf. This glue is super strong. You don't need a lot of it. So feel free to go light. A little bit in the middle. And you see I didn't hit every spot. What I've got will be sufficient. I'm just going to kind of overlap a little bit. like so. And some of it did hang over the edge, so we'll snip that off with our snips. I'm live early tonight. That was my husband coming to check on why I was in here talking to myself, and it was not 6 o'clock yet. Okay, so I'm all ready. So I have 3 panels. We're going to go. These, you see that these fit together. That was how I cut the paper. So I want to make sure this one's at the bottom. And I'm just kind of placing first to figure out my spacing. I want to leave a little bit of that pretty peacock visible in between the panels. And can you see how tightly it fits with these measurements? So if you did go the full 1/4 inch instead of taking that 1/16 off, it would be tighter yet. Your gaps would be smaller. Okay, as I said, this one is going to get glued only to the left side. So let me do that first. So I know that I can go almost halfway down. So can you see? I went almost halfway. This about here, about my thumb is about halfway. I don't want to go too close and come over the edge. I also don't want it to peel back. So I'm going to also apply some glue right here next to the edge of that cardstock. And I don't have to go all the way to the top and the bottom. That, again, it's good strong glue. That will be sufficient. So let's set it first. And the other thing about this Tombow liquid glue, multi-purpose liquid glue, is you got some fudge time. So you see I'm looking again, making sure my spacing is what I want it to be. Is that white panel straight? And then I have a little bit of time to wiggle it in place before I press. Okay. And my letters didn't show through. Perfect. And now top and bottom are going to get attached to the right side. So again, I know I can go almost halfway here. And then I'm going to bring a little bit of glue close to the edge of my Pretty Peacock cardstock. And add that like so. And this one on the top. Same thing, I can go almost halfway across. And then a little bit right here by the edge. That way I don't have to really pay super close attention to how far I'm going with my glue on the back of the Golden Glow panel. But by also adding some adhesive right along the edge of the card base, I know it's going to stick. Okay, so what are these little moths for? Well, they're going to be just flying around our scene here. And I wasn't sure I would need 3. I'm kind of, depending which part of the designer series paper you've cut, you may want 3, you may only want 2. Like it kind of feels like 3 might be too much. This is where if I really were live, I would say, what do you think? Is it too much? I think we could do that. All right. You could pop these up with dimensionals if you care to. I'm just going to glue them flat because of with the gatefold, I don't know. It's just I don't know. I don't always have a rationale. Sometimes I just do what I do and can't explain it. But you could certainly pop these up with dimensionals if you care to. let's see, so we've got our little moths on there. And then how about, I shifted that sentiment up so that I would have place for some embellishments. These are the dewdrop embellishments that, again, were part of that suite, the Moonlit Flora suite. And you could go with either the green or the clear with these colors. I'm going to do the clear. And I'm going to do the larger ones, I think. How many do I want? 2 or 3? I guess I need 3. They always say, whoever they is, the people with the artistic eye, to do things in odd numbers. So 3 it is. And there, my friends, is tonight's card. It opens like so. Isn't that fun? And those fit, you know, they just slide right together. Okay, I promised I'd show the inspiration. So this is the one I received from another demonstrator. And again, I so apologize that her name became separated from her card. But same designer series paper, just a different piece of it. Same sentiment set, same die cuts. Hers are angled a little bit differently, different colors. And she also added some more designer series paper to the back of these panels. But there you have it, a couple samples of a simple gatefold with the Moonlit Flora suite. That, my friends, is what I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back next Monday at my regular time, 6 o'clock Central, next Monday for another Make It Monday Live. I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you next week.